Morning everybody, Rusty from the Rusty Razor. Got another shave of the day, and today we're going to do Crowne and Crane's The Spice, which is their Old Spice dupe. Sort of smells like Old Spice, but it's different. It's more in line with their Amber Woods. It's like they took Amber Woods and then they add some of the Old Spice scents to it. That's kind of how I feel about it. I still like it. I like it a lot. It's just that it's not quite an Old Spice. So it doesn't smell like Old Spice as much. But hey, that's their take on it. I like it. Alright, so we're going to also be using some Old Spice today. But alright, and we're going to be using the Astra Blade's 4th use with the Star Razor. Yep. Wow. If you hadn't tell, I'm tired. I need a vacation from my vacation. Really wasn't a vacation. Too many days and hours away from home. Ugh. No. Yeah, I mentioned I was going to a wedding. Yeah, we went to the wedding, right? Boy, did this really start off as a major cluster, let me tell you. Got up old dark early Thursday morning. Well, wet in the water. So we could, it's like, oh, there's winter storm rolling in. It won't hit the state until mid-morning. Okay, that sounds good. Watch the weather forecast. It was and the Storm Chaser Network, and like, okay, we gotta leave by this time so we can beat the weather. And guess what? Yeah, we had supposedly a 10-hour drive to begin with, without stops or anything, to get to Cincinnati, Ohio, from Des Moines, driving. So, yeah, obviously you're not going to do that. You gotta stop and get gas every once in a while. You might want to stop and grab some foodstuffs. So you're going to add a little bit of time to that. Maybe half an hour or so. Well, we added over an hour and a half to the trip just to get out of the state of Iowa. All right. Fur on the face. I shaved at 12:30 Sunday morning. In the morning. a.m. just right after midnight. I shaved before after we went to the wedding and everything, the reception, everything. I got back and I said, I'm gonna shave, take my shower and everything before bed, and then get up so we don't have to worry about doing any of that, and then travel back home. All right, that tells you how much growth I got. How much is it? Let's see. 11 hours, so 35 hours of growth on the face. About the longest I've gone in a forever and a day. Sacrifices you make to save time and get on the road. When you got about 10 hours of driving time, minimum. Alright, so we took off. Weather's nice. It's cloudy, heavy clouds and everything, but nothing in the air. Like, okay, so it hasn't hit yet. And my wife said, I'll drive. Okay, so she was driving. Picked up my daughter from her place and took off. Doing halfway decent, good time. And then about an hour down the road, suddenly it just hit a wall of white. It went from nothing to white. It's like you're driving through a curtain, a white curtain. That's how heavy it was. I'm like, oh no. And my wife is like it's like, slow down. She's like, what? Slow down. She's like, Next thing you know, we're catching up to some tractor trailers and who slowed down to, next thing you know, we're doing about 30 mile an hour. And she kept wanting to speed up, and I said, slow down. See that truck? He's going that speed. Just get behind him and stay behind him, because his big tires and everything will crush the snow, because it was slushy, heavy stuff. It will squish it off the road. And I said, just maintain your speed behind him. That is your point, man. And he had his flashers on, and you see these cars come flying up by, they'd whip by and going, and about maybe 3, 4, 5 miles down the road, they're in the ditch. Just right off in the ditch. And you just kept seeing cars after cars that would pass you at high speeds from southern states and western states like California. Go fly by, and then next thing you're going, hey, how's the ditch down there? Hope you enjoy it. Or they're in the we have, along the entire state of Iowa, we have cable barriers in between the, because you used to have, somebody would wipe out, I've seen this happen personally many times, they'd spin out, go across the median into the oncoming lane, and bam, splat. And there was one time I watched somebody die. It was like they got hit by a tractor trailer and their car exploded into a massive rubble pile. Parts everywhere, body parts. I'm like, ugh, well, they're dead. And find out later, yeah, they were dead. But, yeah, what a great shave, huh? So, I kept telling my wife every once in a while she'd start speeding up a little bit. As they slow down. Well, I know. I was like, no, slow down. And then you feel the car just like, you start getting squirrely, you know. We're in a SUV, but I can feel it. It's all-wheel drive, but all-wheel drive doesn't help you when you have no traction, you know. And what normally takes a little less than 3 hours to drive from Des Moines to the Illinois state line, it took us 4.5 hours just to get out of the state. So, now, one cool thing was that I seen this big Dodge truck that would spin out. He had a horse trailer with him. He spun out, you know, I seen him go into the ditch, and he backwards, and he turns around. I like could see him, and he comes, and he just drives right out of the ditch like it's nothing. And he had big old knobby tires on it, you know. He got it in 4-wheel drive, and he just drove her right out. And my wife was like, "What's he doing? What's he doing?" And he's driving out of the ditch. Just kind of, it was like a tractor trailers moved over into the passing lane, and we got behind him, and she's like, "What's he doing?" He said, he's taking the lane. He'll come out. He's not an issue. And took care of it. Got out. So we counted. Just kept counting cars. How many went in the ditch? You know, yeah, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Counting both sides of the road, you know, what we could see. Sometimes you'd be, you know, you got the large embankments, and they'd be way down there, so you could only see them if they were on our side of the road, where I could see them. And 127 cars in the ditch. And I guarantee you almost all of them were from out of state. That's one thing. Yeah, and you're like the first snows we usually get in, like, say, November or sometimes October. You get our locals in the state will wipe out. And then they realize, oh yeah, I gotta slow down. Remember how to drive in the weather. But you get individuals from the southern states and some of these western states that don't have snow, like California or Nevada or Arizona. Sometimes Colorado. Colorado, you know, gets snow, but sometimes on the plains area it doesn't have very often. But driving along and watching people wiping out. A couple times I mentioned it, is like you see some just fly by, and I said, well, we'll see him again. First couple times I said, yeah, we'll see him again. My wife's like, what do you mean we'll see him again? They'll be in the ditch or in the guardrail. Come over later. Hi, how's it going? Hope you enjoy. And there was a few times where you could barely see the tractor trailer in front of you because the level of snow was coming down so heavy. But eventually, it was just like snow, heavy snow, and all of a sudden we crossed the Mississippi River on the big bridge by Davenport, and all of a sudden, it was like just rain. It just went suddenly. The temperature went from 29, 30 degrees to 33, just like that. Just like you snapped a finger, right? You got out of the front, in front of it, and it's like it was rain. Like I said, well, drove for about 5 miles, and the temperature went up to 35, and I said, hey, speed limit here is 65 or 70 or whatever it was, and my daughter in the back was like, she kept rattling off the speed limits because she could see it on the app. And then next thing you know, it's like we started picking up steam. But it took us 12 hours basically to get to Cincinnati. So, yeah, it was fun. Stress. And we get there Thursday night. The only people we see is my mother-in-law, who flew, because I dropped her off at the airport Wednesday, and she flew in Wednesday night. Got in, so she was the only one there, except for my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, the bride and so said hello to them, and then I spent the rest. So we drove all Thursday, and then Friday we're sitting there going, what do we do today? Like, well, we're supposed to visit with family, and come to find out, her sister and their family were going to be at the setting things up for the wedding all day, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then rest of her family didn't come in until that night, like 6 to 8 o'clock. We never even seen any of them. And I was like, why did we come here so early? And he's like, well, we were supposed to visit with family. Like, and why did we come here so early? So I ended up we didn't do anything. And I spent all of Friday just sitting there reading a book in the room and watched some TV, which I'm not a big TV watcher during the day. But oh man, it was like, to me, a major waste of time. And if we would have came on Friday, we would have missed the storm. It wouldn't have been so bad. So, but then we had some lunch on Saturday, and then the wedding was at 3:30. Had the wedding reception went to 9 that night, where they told us, get out, building closes at 9. Okay, but the good thing was that they had a free bar, so you could get whatever you felt like having. I was drinking 7 and 7s, and then one time they moved a bottle out of the way. Big giant one of those 1.75 liter jug of alcohol. I think it was rum or something. They moved it out of the way to go take care of someone else's drink, and then it was right behind it was a bottle of Glenlivet. And I was like, "You got Glenlivet?" Yeah, no one's been drinking it at all. The bottle's not even been opened yet. And I was like, "Crack that thing open, because I'm coming." It's like she went to thing of big giant container of ice. I said, "No, just give me it straight." She's like, "What? Like, you drink it?" "Yes, give me the scotch straight." So I started drinking scotch. It's like, I wish I'd known that thing was there before. I would have been drinking it all night. But oh, I had a few, maybe like 3 to 4 too many, but wasn't drunk, but I wasn't drunk enough to worry about driving. So my wife had my daughter drive, since my daughter doesn't drink, so she drove us home. My wife had like 4 amaretto sours, and over the course of 4 hours, so basically we're drinking maybe 1 or 2 drinks an hour. That was about it. And they had all kinds of music, all the new modern pop crap. They didn't play any of the classic stuff that you usually play at weddings. I'm so used to. It's like you typically go to a wedding, they play the same music for dancing, and all they played was this modern stuff, and all the young kids that were 20 something and younger were out there dancing, and those of us in their 30s and older were like, I don't know these songs. And they're all hooting and hollering. It's like we're all sat around our tables and chatting away. And I was talking to some of the younger people, and they were like, I don't know who these people are. I had no idea what this music is. I'm like, okay. But kind of interesting is that, like, you go into a wedding, you expect, it's like you want to look pretty decent when you go to a wedding. The number of people that went to the wedding that were wearing jeans and just a t-shirt or a basic unbuttoned polo shirt with tennis shoes, and like, wow, going to a wedding, I guess the younger people don't dress up anymore. Even the girls that were usually you think they would be wearing a dress or something. Nah, wearing jeans or something. And then you had us older folk like that were, some of us were in our 40s and 50s and older. We're all wearing at least a suit jacket and slacks and dress shoes, but a little bit more on the chin right here. And I'm wearing my 3-piece, and I look like I belonged in the wedding party. No. Now, the only person that was more dressed up than me would have been my brother-in-law, who's the father of the bride. And he was wearing a tux. Even groomsmen, all they had was a tie and a pair of slacks. Like, okay. Which is interesting is that my one niece got married, oh gosh, it's been 7 years ago, I think it was. And the wedding party wore jeans, cowboy boots, and cowboy shirts, you know, with bolos. That was them dressing up for the wedding. I'm like, okay. Oh, I had several of my wife's cousins come up to me and their kids are like, "Wow, you're dressed up." Like, yes, I am. Definitely turned a few heads. Felt like a peacock. But it ended up being decent. Then we took off in the morning, and then it took us, I think, 9.5 hours. Oh, about 10 hours. I give it about 10 hours to get back. So about the same amount of time it takes to drive from Des Moines to western Nebraska. This kind of tells you how big some of these states are out west here. But you can drive from Cincinnati to Des Moines in the same time it takes from Des Moines to border western Nebraska. And if you were driving from the eastern border to the western border of Iowa, it takes about 6 hours. All right, I think I got it. Smooth. I haven't felt this good. Oh, right there. How did I miss that? A little bit more. There we go. Now, one thing I regret was that night on Friday, we were downstairs and they had somebody dropped a pamphlet or something. I think it was like a small booklet from the Daytona, or it was their Air Space Museum or whatever it was that they have there in Dayton, right up the road. I'm like, if I'd known about that, I would have gone Friday morning. I would have gone to that and spent the whole bloody day there just looking at aircraft. But no. Things that happen after the fact. Old Spice. Alright. There's a wee bit of tingling right about here. Other than that, feels good. Old Spice. Alright, so that was the shave of the day. Brought to you by Crowne and Crane's The Spice. Spice of life. Yeah, definitely on the puck here. Smells like amber woods with Old Spice additions. Yep, there you go. And then we had the fourth use of the Astra blades with the Star Razor, star of the show. Whacked this fur right down, and right down to smooth. Other than a couple slight weepers, not too bad. So that's the shave of the day, everybody. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe, share with friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Rusty out.